Somewhere above 11,000 feet, a man checks his watch. It's 11:52 a.m. He has 8 minutes before the number that matters more than any other number on this mountain. He doesn't know that yet. He thinks he has all afternoon. In the next 12 minutes, weather, altitude, and one decision are going to collide, and only one of them is going to lose. This is the window that decides who comes down from Rocky Mountain National Park, and who doesn't. Every year, more than 4 million people walk into this park. Most of them leave with photographs. Some of them don't leave at all. Not because the park is trying to hurt them. It isn't trying to do anything. That's the part almost nobody understands until it's too late. Rocky Mountain National Park doesn't kill people with one big obvious danger. It kills them with timing, a missed turnaround, a skipped layer, a decision made 4 minutes too late. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down the exact windows, the 12-minute decisions, that separate the hikers who make it home from the ones search and rescue teams spend days looking for. To understand why timing matters this much here, you have to understand what this landscape actually is. But the peaks inside this park are the eroded remains of mountains that were once far larger. Granite cores shaped over tens of millions of years, scraped and carved by glaciers that finished retreating only about 10,000 years ago. In geologic time, that's yesterday. The park's official tree line sits at roughly 11,400 feet. Below it, forest, shelter, windbreak. Above it, nothing. No trees, no shade, no cover from wind, weather, or lightning. The gap between those two worlds isn't gradual. Hikers can walk out of dense forest and onto fully exposed alpine tundra in under 2 hours, from a trailhead. Before the park existed, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, homesteaders tried to live at these elevations year-round. Most failed within a few seasons. The growing season was too short, the winters too extreme. Their abandoned cabins are still out there, half swallowed by the landscape, a 100-year-old warning that almost no visitor ever sees. The people who lived here full-time, who understood this terrain better than anyone alive today, still couldn't outplan it. That's the baseline. Now here's what happens when a modern hiker, with a car, a phone, and a trail map, walks into that same terrain believing an afternoon is enough time. Window 1. The acclimatization clock, hour 0. Most visitors fly into Denver, at roughly 5,280 feet, and drive into the park the same day, gaining thousands more feet of elevation in a matter of hours. The human body does not work on that schedule. Full acclimatization, more red blood cells, adjusted blood chemistry, takes days, not hours. In the meantime, headaches, nausea, and fatigue at 8,000 feet and above are often written off as travel exhaustion. The decision window here is invisible. It's the choice to push on through those symptoms instead of descending. Altitude illness can escalate from mild to life-threatening within a single day, and the hikers who ignore the early signs are the ones who convert a headache into an emergency. Window 2, the noon deadline. Between June and August, thunderstorms build over these peaks almost every single day, typically intensifying between 1 and 3 p.m. Rangers posted at every trailhead. Almost every hiker has heard it. And yet, every summer, people are caught above treeline anyway. Because at 7 a.m., under a clear blue sky, turning back at noon feels premature. The summit is visible. The trail feels easy. There's no visible threat to react to. That's the trap. The decision has to be made before the danger is visible, using a clock instead of your eyes. Above treeline, there's no tall structure to draw a lightning strike away from a person. A hiker standing on an exposed ridge is often the highest point in the landscape. And ground current from a nearby strike can injure or kill without a direct hit. Window 3, the turnaround you already missed. Picture a fit, experienced hiker on a familiar trail. He's done this route before. He knows the terrain. At 11:52 a.m., the sky is still mostly clear, just a few clouds building over the ridge. His planned turnaround time was noon. He's close to a viewpoint he wants to reach. 8 more minutes, he tells himself. 8 minutes won't matter. By 12:20, the sky has changed completely. Temperatures that can normally drop more than 30 degrees in under 2 hours are already sliding. Wind above treeline regularly exceeds 40 miles an hour. Effective temperature near freezing, in the middle of summer, is not rare up here. It's Tuesday. He's now making decisions with a body that's colder, slower, and less oxygenated than it was 20 minutes ago. That's the mechanism. Not one bad decision, a small one, compounding. If you want to see how these decision windows play out in other extreme environments, deserts, open ocean, deep caves, we break those down on this channel too. Subscribing means you won't miss the next one. Here's what almost no visitor accounts for. At these elevations, the person making the decision is not the same person who made the plan that morning. At around 13,000 feet, aerobic capacity is reduced by roughly a third compared to sea level. Reaction time slows, coordination drops, judgment, the very thing needed to recognize, I should turn back now, is one of the first things altitude quietly degrades. This is sometimes called the competence trap. It isn't beginners who get caught in these windows most often. It's people experienced enough to feel confident, but not experienced enough to know that confidence itself becomes unreliable up here. Add cold. Air temperature drops roughly 3.5 degrees Fahrenheit for every 1,000 feet of elevation gained. A hiker who left a warm trailhead in a t-shirt can be facing near-freezing wind chill at the summit within an hour. Hypothermia doesn't require a blizzard, only that the body loses heat faster than it can replace it. Add isolation. Cell coverage across most of the park's backcountry is limited or non-existent. Day hikers, unlike registered overnight backpackers, aren't required to log an itinerary. If no one knows you're overdue, no search begins. Every additional hour, without a recognized missing trigger, reduces the odds of a fast, successful rescue. Stack these together, reduced judgment, dropping temperature, no way to call for help, and you can see exactly why a 12-minute delay on a decision that should have been automatic becomes the entire story. This is also why search and rescue professionals give one piece of advice that fights against every human instinct. If you're lost, stop moving. Rescuers search from your last known position. Every additional mile you travel trying to find your way out moves you further from where anyone is looking. Movement feels like control. In this terrain, it's frequently the opposite. The same atmospheric systems that build these fast, violent storms over the park aren't contained by its boundaries. On July 31, 1976, a slow-moving thunderstorm dropped more than a foot of rain in about 4 hours over the Big Thompson Canyon, just outside the park. The resulting flash flood killed 144 people. It remains one of the deadliest flash floods in Colorado's history, and it was produced by the same weather dynamics that build over these peaks almost every summer afternoon. That flood didn't happen because anyone was reckless. It happened because water moving off thin soil and granite bedrock doesn't wait for permission, and neither does the storm that drives it. Our hiker, from the beginning, makes it down. In this scenario, barely. He reaches shelter with hands too cold to work his own zipper, having lost more than an hour to a decision that felt, in the moment, too small to matter. If you ask him afterward what went wrong, he won't say the storm surprised him. He'll say he knew about the noon rule. He'll say he'd done this trail before. He'll say 8 minutes felt like nothing. That's the pattern search and rescue teams see again and again, in real incidents across this park's history. Not ignorance, but a small, reasonable-feeling exception to a rule that was never actually optional. The mountain isn't tracking his watch. It was never going to wait for him to finish deciding. That's the truth underneath every one of these decision windows. The deadline doesn't move to meet you. You either meet it, or you find out, 12 minutes too late, that it was real the whole time.